What is the definition of insanity? I'll start off with this. I'm Bryce Gum. Thank you all for joining us live. Going to be focusing today on the Yankees. Almost like unfathomable collapse. Now, again, we're going to be focusing on that. I'm going to be ripping into the team. It's just like, how many times can I possibly do this topic? How many times can I make the same argument? But I'm going to do it because it's necessary at this point of the year, with the Yankees currently on a 5-15 stretch after that horrific game in Boston on June 15th, where the Red Sox stole over 10 bases. They exposed the hell out of the Yankees and Jose Trevino. And now we're here in reality with the Yankees now 3 games behind first place, which is a miracle. It's a miracle they're only 3 games behind the Baltimore Orioles. But I'm going to start with this and answering this question that I posed at the start of this live stream about a minute ago. The definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, the same thing, and expecting different results. Does that not describe how Brian Cashman has performed as general manager over the last 10 years to a T? Has anything changed organizationally? Yes, they acquired Juan Soto. Yes, they acquired Giancarlo Stanton in 2017. Has anything changed? No. Because yet again, the Yankees find themselves in a position where they are imploding, where every facet of the organization is withering away in thin air, where the fans are again up in arms over just a complete lack of competency from the bottom of the order. Yankee fans on a consistent basis have to watch DJ LeMahieu. Congratulations for your double, and congratulations on your 3-for-8 stretch against the Red Sox the last 2 games. Awesome. Cool, DJ. Yankee fans are currently having to watch a 5.11 OPS for DJ LeMahieu at the bottom of the order. Just pathetic. It's not like anyone else at the bottom of the order is any better. Gleyber Torres is having a generationally bad contract year. He's having the exact opposite of what Aaron Judge had in 2022. Pathetic. 641 OPS from Gleyber Torres. And you want to look to the other guys at the bottom of the lineup, Oswaldo Cabrera, he's a 624 OPS. When are the Yankees going to learn that it's not the injuries, it's not 1 or 2 guys not performing, it's the entire organization, it's the culture, it's Aaron Boone, it's the garbage comment that he makes to the media every year. It happens every year. It's right in front of us. And I wasn't going to do this. I wasn't going to come out here and rip this organization to shreds. I mean, it was very frustrating watching what we saw last night, watching what we've witnessed since that game in Boston in mid-June. But I wasn't going to come out here and do this again. Same argument. The same topic that I've covered a million times before. If you've ever listened to me talk Yankees during a bad stretch of baseball, this is exactly what it sounded like. I did it last year. I did it in 2022. I did it in 2021. I didn't want to do it. I really didn't. I didn't. And then I'm about to go to sleep last night. I opened my phone to a text from a friend, and it's a Twitter link to Aaron Boone yet again, saying it's right in front of us. Is there anything more infuriating in your individual sports fandom than losing just a game of insane magnitude, and then watching the press conference after the game and hearing your coach, your manager, your GM say some crazy stuff, like saying some stuff that you could never imagine anyone saying, and coming out of someone's mouth, and them actually believing it. And that's what we saw last night from Aaron Boone, saying yet again, it's right in front of us. And I don't really care if whatever. I mean, I know I usually talk Knicks. Apologies, the fact that this isn't Knicks. We'll do more Knicks as this week goes on, but I just had to address this because it's just it's just unbelievable that we have to witness this on a nightly basis. And I'll be the first one to admit, I have not been as locked in with the Yankees as I have been in previous years. And I'm not going to come out and say I wholly expected the Yankees to fall flat on their faces, that I thought that the addition of Juan Soto would do nothing, and that no one would follow the lead of Soto and Judge. And I didn't say that. I didn't. Was I exhilarated when the Yankees traded for Juan Soto? No. Sure, I was excited, but I knew in the back of my mind that they'd have to retain him. You trade all of those pro-ready guys for Juan Soto. You don't do that to not have a chance to re-sign him. And sure, at the start of the year, it looked awesome with the Yankees at 50-22 going into that game against Boston, where it was like, all right, well, this should be the year. And I'm not just speaking about Yankee fans, the bias and whatnot. Every Yankee fan, there's a lot of Yankee fans out there that the Yankees going to win every year. I'm not one of those people who subscribes to that belief on a year in, year out. But I looked at this team, and I'm sure a lot of other people looked at this team and said, all right, well, this is when the Yankees are going to do it. If there's ever a time that the Yankees are going to win that 28th championship, this year is going to be the year. With how solid they looked, with at least I'd say 1 through 6. Again, the bottom of the lineup has been atrocious all year. It's been atrocious last year, the year before, going all the way back to 2009, objectively. Maybe 2017, you could say, with guys like Todd Frazier and Starlin Castro at the bottom of the lineup, guys that actually hit. But we have not seen those type of players on the Yankees since 2017. Brian Cashman has done an awful job of getting those guys at the bottom of the lineup who you know are going to hit, and especially are going to hit in the playoffs when it matters the most. It doesn't happen. This just does not occur for the Yankees. But yeah, they were looking like the best team in baseball. Their rotation 1 through 5 without the best pitcher in baseball last year looked astonishing. Luis Gil, I mean, he had a really good start last night. Hopefully that can continue the entire year. That, of course, will be a plus and help the Yankees in any potential postseason, if they even make the postseason at this point. If they can't get it together, they might not make it. 5-15 again in their last 20 games. Pathetic. But the entire makeup of the roster looks solid, right? You finally got the lefty-righty splits in the lineup. You don't just have righties 1 through 9. You got Juan Soto, who from the start of the year looked like Juan Soto. He wasn't fazed by New York like a lot of other superstars are. Aaron Judge looked terrible the first month, and he's put together one of the greatest seasons that we've ever seen before the All-Star break since the steroid era. He's probably the best hitter that any of us have ever seen since the steroid era. He might be the best hitter ever in baseball history, not using steroids. And the Yankees yet are still in this position, wasting another MVP season from Aaron Judge. Wasting an MVP season for Juan Soto if Aaron Judge wasn't in the AL. If Juan Soto was in the NL with those numbers, he's right up there in the MVP vote. He might have it with a near 1,000 OPS. Like he's still Juan Soto. He's still producing on a night in, night out basis. So how is this possibly happening? How is this occurring yet again? This implosion of otherworldly proportions from Carlos Rodon, from Jose Trevino, at the plate and behind the dish, to the injuries, to the idiotic comments from Aaron Boone now that we're getting like we got last night. It's right in front of us. It's right in front of us, guys. Does anyone really believe that garbage? I don't. And you shouldn't either. Because how many times have we heard it since Aaron Boone took over in 2018? And I mentioned it earlier on this live stream. I know there's not many people listening. I don't really care. Again, as I said, this needs to be said. Aaron Boone said this on August 20th, 2022, July 15th, 2023, and now again on July 7th, 2024. Do you notice a trend there? Because I certainly do. He said it just at the time when the Yankees were suffering just a magnificent implosion, expecting things to be different, expecting that to actually be the case, that it's actually right in front of them. It's one thing to say it, to fire up your players, light a fire under their ass. It's another thing to actually believe that to be the case, that it's actually right in front of us. Because no one in their right mind actually believes that. If you've watched this team since 2009, specifically since 2017, has it ever been right in front of them? Have they ever turned it around and made a run in this stretch? They've had some really solid runs, right? The Yankees are looking a lot like the Mets right now, starting off a season extraordinarily well and then absolutely falling apart by the All-Star break. Yes, I'm comparing them to the Mets. That's fair. That's a fair comparison. It's not like the Mets live rent-free in my head. It's just like Yankee fans love to give crap to Mets fans and the Mets organization. Look at yourself in the mirror. You are the Mets. The Mets have knew with Steve Cohen spending a lot of money, but no success coming to fruition. And like, good for you, Hal Steinbrenner. You've spent a lot of money on a year-by-year basis. That's why the Yankees have been so successful. I think you put Brian Cashman in a terrible market. You put him with Oakland. You put him with anywhere else that is a little bit more frugal with their money. You put him on the Detroit Tigers as the GM of them. I don't think you see nearly the same success that you've seen with Brian Cashman as the head of the New York Yankees since 1996. He wins the 5 rings on a team that Stick Michael put together. And he goes out and he had the ultimatum from George Steinbrenner. You're going to sign everyone in 2009. He goes out and signs everyone. Shera, A.J. Burnett, and CeCe Sabathia. They made a clean sweep. All the top guys in the free agency market. And they won. And I urge you all to look back at that lineup. When you want to give Brian Cashman credit for putting together a championship team, look at that lineup. Jeter, Posada, both guys not drafted by Brian Cashman. And you look at the free agency acquisitions. You look at Mark Teixeira. You look at Johnny Damon. All guys brought in or drafted by someone else not named Brian Cashman. So why am I bringing this up? Appreciate what you have when you have it, guys. I was thinking about this. Looking back on that 2009 team, I don't think I really ever can. I mean, I was 9 years old, but I don't think 8 years old. I don't think I ever put correctly to terms how good that lineup was. The fact that no one was under 800 OPS. Can you imagine now today not having to watch the guys that you have to watch on a nightly basis at the bottom of the lineup at the Yankees? You imagine putting Nick Swisher and Johnny. I know Johnny Davis was at the top of the lineup, but like Matsui, Robinson Cano batted 7th and 8th on that team in the World Series. Yeah, no wonder they won the World Series. And how come it's been 15 seasons since Brian Cashman has even been able to sniff that good of a lineup? It's pathetic. It really is. And it's just like, when are things going to change? When is the status quo going to be different than it has been over the last 15 years? Where before the season, Yankees have World Series hopes. Those are the expectations. Anything under that is a major failure. Oh, the Yankees didn't win it all. Well, what happens? Oh, we're going to keep the GM. Oh, we're going to keep the manager. Because they're doing a good job. And it's right in front of us. We're doing all the right things. It's just the chips are not falling the way that we want them to fall. Hal Steinbrenner needs to take a good look in the mirror. And I know that they had the outside evaluations this past offseason. What changes did they make besides with the analytics program? They still had a terrible time identifying talent to bring in. They didn't bring in anyone besides Alex Verdugo. The fact that they still have to rely on DJ LeMahieu, whose body unfortunately has completely broken down on him, the fact that they have to rely at all on Oswaldo Cabrera, the fact that they had to rely at all on an absolute shell of himself in Anthony Rizzo is a complete and utter joke. You can't tell any Yankee fan looking at that lineup at day one that was a World Series winning lineup. The bullpen, is always going to be solid. One piece of credit that I'll give Brian Cashman is the signing and the hiring of Matt Blake is the greatest thing Brian Cashman has done in the last 10 years as Yankees GM. The fact that they were able to bring these guys off the waivers, these bums, and turn them into studs in the bullpen has been unbelievable. And the Yankees still haven't been able to do anything with a consistently top 5 bullpen in Major League Baseball. They haven't been able to do anything. Whether it be the rotation letting them down, whether it be the guys from 5 to 9 in the lineup letting them down, whether it be the leadoff hitter or anyone not named Aaron Judge. It just keeps happening. It's like the most consistent thing about the Yankees right now is that these implosions. Is every single player at the exact same time losing any sense of aura that they have. And all falling in line in terms of being awful baseball players. And Aaron Judge, man, I mean, what more could you say about this guy? He's the captain. And no one besides Juan Soto, you don't even count because he's always going to be good, has taken Aaron Judge's lead, the captain's lead. I'm sure there's some idiot out there blaming this on Aaron Judge, saying that, oh, he's not a good captain because other players aren't following it. Okay. Shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about. This is not Aaron Judge's fault. This is not Juan Soto's fault. It is the organizational mindset, the laziness, all of the garbage that we've seen the last 3 weeks. Gleyber Torres not running out the ground ball to first base. Trent Grisham in center field, allowing a double when it should have been a single. Trent Grisham, of course, being this awesome defensive option the Yankees brought in that trade for Juan Soto. Oh, it's fine. He's the fourth or fifth outfielder, a playable platoon. Are you kidding me? I want to get more frustrated and angry about this, but I don't think my body's allowing me right now. It's just like, I started off this live stream by saying what the definition of insanity is. I think I'm at that level right now. Like, am I insane for making the same argument 3 straight years? But I'm not doing the same thing. I'm talking about the same thing. I'm pointing out correctly the flaws in the organization, the flaws in the mindset, in the mindsets from top to bottom in the organization. When are the Yankees going to go out and get guys at the bottom of the lineup that have performed in the clutch, that are consistent hitters? And I understand the injuries. I spoke about this before. I understand you lose Jason Dominguez, who'd be starting and playing hopefully well on this team right now in center field. You lose him for 8 weeks with an oblique injury. I understand that's a freak injury, 8 weeks. That's awful. Like, what can you say about that other than it shouldn't happen, and it did, and it is what it is. You got to deal with it. It's not their fault. They lost Everson Pereira, who would also be up right now. It's not their fault that Anthony. That's where I'm going to push back. I take back what I was about to say. I was going to say it's not the Yankees' fault that Anthony Rizzo has not looked the same after the injury suffered at the D or whatever of Fernando Tatis last year. But it is. Because the Yankees unknowingly played him with concussion-like symptoms for 2 months after. No wonder he's nowhere near the same player he was before that injury. But the fact that they went into the season trusting Anthony Rizzo to be Anthony Rizzo of old just showed you how flawed their thinking, their mindset is. Another thing this organization has done, and I'm Bryce Gum, by the way. Thank you all for joining this live stream. Talking Yankees, incompetence, you know the drill. Is the fact that this organization has put their trust in I mean, again, I mean, it just, I don't know. I ladies and gentlemen, I've lost it. I've lost it. And it's like, what more could be said about the team? Like, that hasn't been said. I know there's a million media people out there, people who cover the Yankees, talk about the Yankees, create content for them, saying this exact same thing. Or something along the lines of it. To think that this organization is even close to winning a World Series would be idiotic. Insanely stupid. They're nowhere near a World Series. And not even a few moves at the deadline, the few moves now before the deadline are going to change any of that. Unfortunately, for Yankee fans out there who have some hope that they'll be able to put it together magically and make a run. It's organizational. It stems from Brian Cashman and the terrible moves that he's made. And the other thing I was going to cover, it was the fact that, you know, how many times did the Yankees stay back and not made a move they've wanted to make, or it was rumored for them to make because they had guys in the pipeline, they had prospects? How many of those prospects were held on to for too long were promoted and they sucked. Florial. I mean, I'm not gonna do it. And Duhar. Like you how many guys? Peraza, all expected to be stars, or at least starters, competent starters, the bottom of the rotation. They costed nothing. You drafted them. You didn't have to give him away in a trade. You didn't have to sign him. They cost less than Corey Seager. They cost less than Bryce Harper. Can you imagine if this team had Bryce Harper on it since 2018, since he was a free agent? Could you imagine they win at least one World Series? Can you imagine if they didn't? I mean, listen, Anthony Volpe alongside Ben Rice, who, I mean, again, you never know. Ben Rice could regress back to the mean, and he could have a 650 OPS in a month, like the rest of the bottom of the lineup. Hopefully he continues. You can't say that you can trust him, and you don't want to have to trust him. You really have no choice. But when you look at Anthony Volpe, the Yankees specifically did not go after Corey Seager, two-time World Series winner, because Anthony Volpe was in the pipeline. What did the Rangers do 2 years ago? They signed Seager and Semien. Semien was a shortstop. They moved him to second base. You can move Volpe or Seager to second base if you bring them in. You bring the best talent in, and then you worry about where to slot them in later. You don't play this extremely cautious game. Certain organizations have a way of winning in different sports. It's my biggest point to make about any sport. The Knicks, hard-nosed, defensive-minded, hard. That's how they won. They won like that they came close to winning like that in the 90s. They won like that in the 70s. Why are they really good right now? All that stuff. The Giants, great defensive lines, getting to the quarterback, applying pressure, hard-nosed, physical defenses. How do they win 2 Super Bowls? Exactly that. So now how could the Yankees possibly replicate the successes of old in the organization? It's by going out and signing the biggest talent, going big game hunting. Congratulations, you did that for Juan Soto. But how many years? I forgot. Could someone please help me? How many years is Juan Soto under contract for with the New York Yankees? Oh, that's right. 4 more months. And then he hits free agency, and another team could swoop in and pay him more money than the Yankees are going to offer him. And if you're Juan Soto, I mean, listen, you might like it. You might enjoy the love from the fans. You may enjoy. What if Juan Soto wants to win? And he goes to Brian Cashman. He goes to Hal Steinbrenner. Hal Steinbrenner, who has already said that the Yankees don't want to spend as much as they've been spending. So imagine Juan Soto goes in there and says, okay, you're going to offer me this contract here. I'll take it. I'll sacrifice a few $1 million on the table. What are you guys going to do to build a championship organization around me and Aaron Judge, who now are only under contract, or Aaron Judge would be under contract 6 more years after that. Of course, he's going to be nowhere near as effective and as unbelievable as he's been in 3 or 4 years. You got 2 or 3 more years of a top talent in Aaron Judge, and you got, again, in Juan Soto's mind, he's like, you got 10 more years of me. What are you going to do? Well, if the first answer from Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner is we're going to cut costs around the organization, we're going to get rid of our dead weight, our dead bodies on the roster, try to clear cap space, like there is cap, to try to clear space under whatever budget we're operating under. You think that's going to be good enough for Juan Soto? Realistically. He got traded to the New York Yankees. Do you think he ever thought that this would have been the case? The New York Yankees, who, if they do give the money to Juan Soto, aren't going to be willing to make the changes necessary around the rest of the roster to win a World Series. What they have on paper, what they have to the naked eye is not enough. 3 straight years now. 2022 is the best example, the best comparison to this year, where the Yankees were by far the best team in baseball. Every guy from top to bottom was hitting, pitching well. The bullpen was unbelievable all year long. Oh, congratulations, you made the ALCS. How awesome is that? You got destroyed by the Astros in 4 games. And then last year, you didn't make the playoffs. So now what? Now what's the future of this organization? What's next for the New York Yankees? Ladies and gentlemen, nothing. Until they fire Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone. And sure, they may sneak out a win, a World Series win with these two guys at the helm. And what are the odds of that, though? Of that happening? With Juan Soto under contract for $45 million, $50 million a year for the next 13 years. How likely is that? Not too likely. It remains to be seen whether or not this team is going to be able to turn it around. I don't think they will. I really don't think so. You could call me a pessimist. You could call me, a negative, whatever you want to say. Come on. Are we watching the same thing? Are we watching the same product? Because if you were watching this team unbiasedly and without a hard-on for Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone, then you'd see what the rest of us are seeing. The one player, even a generational player. This isn't basketball. This isn't football where you could just get a quarterback and automatically win. If you do not have hitters at the bottom of your lineup, you are not winning anything. Anything. When your top hitters don't perform well in the playoffs, sorry, Aaron Judge, what have you done in the playoffs besides 2018? Nothing. When those are your guys that you rely on, and again, Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. He's the reason why the Yankees got to where they did in 2022. He's the reason why they aren't at 500 in this year. He doesn't hit in the postseason. That's just another issue that you have to deal with. It would actually be nice to watch to see if he could redeem himself in this postseason. If they actually make it. 5-15 in their last 20. That's where the New York Yankees are at. Is it rock bottom? And the other night when Clay Holmes blew the save against the Red Sox, I think that's as close as you'll get to rock bottom. I'd say there's a lot further of a ways to go. All right, I'm Bryce Gelman. Thank you all for tuning into this. I didn't want to have to talk about this, but after the comment from Aaron Boone last night, I was left with no choice. More Knicks content coming later this week. I'll have a video for you guys as well, potentially breaking down the Knicks Summer League and all that good stuff and what a fun time it is to be a New York Knicks fan. Can't say the same for the Yankees. All right, that'll do it. Speak to you all later this week.